Hello and welcome. Today we're going to embark on a really special kind of journey, one that pilgrims have been taking for thousands of years. We're diving into 5 amazing psalms known as the Songs of Ascent, and we'll use them like a map to explore the ups and downs of a life of faith.
Okay, so here's our game plan. Think of it as a 5-stage journey. We're going to start with the incredible high of restoration, then get grounded in what really matters with labor and family. After that, we'll see what a life of reverence looks like. Then things get real as we tackle perseverance through suffering, and we'll finish up with a deeply personal cry for help. Each psalm is like a stop along the way.
All right, our journey kicks off at an emotional peak. This first song, Psalm 126, is just an absolute explosion of joy. It's the sound of a whole nation coming home after being in exile for what felt like forever. It's the sound of freedom.
This very first line drops us right into a massive historical event. Israel's return from a 70-year exile in Babylon. Just try to imagine that. Generations had been born in a foreign land, hearing stories of a home they'd never even seen. So when their freedom came, it was so sudden, so complete, that it literally felt like a dream. They were pinching themselves, wondering if it was even real. They knew this was something only God could have done.
This slide gets to the absolute heart of the psalm's main idea. It paints this incredible picture. The years of sadness and hardship and exile, that's like a farmer planting seeds in a really tough, dry season. It's backbreaking, uncertain work, and yeah, it's often done with tears. But here's the amazing promise. All that painful planting is not for nothing. It's actually the necessary first step to a guaranteed, joyful harvest of freedom.
So what can we take away from this? Well, the lessons here are just as relevant today. It teaches us that God's help can show up in ways that are so amazing they feel like a dream. And when that happens, our joy isn't just for us. It's a powerful story we can share. But maybe most importantly, it changes how we look at tough times. It teaches us to see our current struggles as a season of planting that, if we hold on to hope, will eventually lead to a harvest of joy. Okay, on to our second stage. The pilgrims are back home, and now the big question changes from how did we get here to, okay, how do we build a life that's actually going to last? And this psalm is all about getting the foundation right for everything we build. So, before we jump into the text, we have to get our heads around this one really important word, vain. The original Hebrew word is shav, and it means empty, futile. Think of it like trying to build a sandcastle as the tide is coming in. You're putting in all this effort, but in the end, it's just going to wash away. It amounts to nothing. Keep that idea of emptiness in your mind as we go.
The psalm kicks off by talking about our most personal projects. Building a house here is really a metaphor for everything we try to build, our career, our home, our reputation. And the message is, well, it's pretty blunt. Unless the Lord is the one in charge, the master builder, all our hard work and ambition is ultimately in vain. It's empty. It's just not going to last.
And what's so brilliant is how this idea expands. It doesn't just stop at our front door. It applies to our whole community. You could have the strongest walls, the most alert guards staying up all night, but if the Lord isn't the one protecting the city, all that human effort is, again, for nothing. Real, lasting security has to come from God.
And finally, the psalm gets to the heart of our legacy. You have to remember, in that culture, a big family was a huge sign of blessing and stability. But this verse says something so profound. It says children aren't just something we produce through our own efforts. No, they are a gift, an inheritance, a reward that comes straight from God. It's the ultimate reminder that the most precious things in our lives aren't things we achieve, but things we receive. Okay, so if the last psalm was all about laying the right foundation, this next one paints a beautiful picture of the kind of life that gets built on top of it. This is a portrait of what it looks like to truly flourish. I love how this psalm lays out such a clear and beautiful progression. It's like a step-by-step guide. It all starts with the foundation, having a reverent, obedient relationship with God. And from that one thing, everything else flows. You get satisfaction from your work, you have a thriving, prosperous family, and you build a legacy that blesses not just your kids, but your grandkids, and brings peace to the entire nation. It's this amazing picture of a totally whole and blessed life. Of course, life isn't always sunny and peaceful, is it? And the pilgrim's journey is no different. This next stage forces us to confront the harsh reality of oppression and the deep need for endurance. This is a song of survival. Now, this is really important. The psalmist isn't just talking about one bad week or one single enemy. He's calling on the entire nation to speak up and testify about its whole history, a history that has been filled with attack after attack right from its very beginning, its youth. It's a raw, honest look at deep, long-term national pain.
And then we get this short, simple sentence. But it is the pivot point for the entire psalm. It's a massive declaration of faith, right in the middle of talking about all this suffering. It's saying, despite everything we've gone through, despite all the evidence to the contrary, our core belief has not changed. God is just. And this is the confident conclusion that flows right out of that belief. The image here is of God literally snapping the ropes that the wicked use to tie people down. It's a powerful statement of faith that says, yeah, oppression might be a part of our story, but it's not the end of the story. God always steps in, breaks the bonds, and ensures our enemies will not win in the end.
All right, let's move to our final stage. And here, the whole journey takes a sharp turn inward. We go from talking about the nation's struggles with outside enemies to the individual's private struggle with their own soul. This is a cry from the absolute bottom.
We've all been here, haven't we? The psalm starts out of the depths. That could be the depths of sadness, of guilt, of just feeling like a total failure. It's that overwhelming place where you look at yourself and think, there's no way I can fix this. Who can possibly help me now?
This slide frames the core human dilemma perfectly. The psalmist gets brutally honest. He says, look, if God kept a detailed record of everything we've ever done wrong, who could possibly stand? Nobody. We'd all be condemned. But, and this is one of the most important buts you'll ever read, the verse doesn't stop there. The hope isn't in our perfection, it's in God's character. There is forgiveness with Him.
So what's our response to that incredible hope? We wait. But this is not a passive, bored, are we there yet kind of waiting. No, this is the active, alert, hopeful waiting of a watchman on a long, dark night. He doesn't hope the sun will rise. He knows it will, and he's watching for that first glimmer of light with total certainty. That's the kind of hope we're called to have.
And so our pilgrim's journey comes to its final stop. For now, we've really covered the full range of human experience, haven't we? From the highest peaks of celebration and joy to the practical work of building a life, down into the valleys of suffering, and even into the deepest pits of personal failure. And as we've seen, this ancient path doesn't end with a neat little bow at a final destination. It ends in this active, expectant posture of waiting for the dawn. So the real question it leaves us with is the one right here on the screen. Looking at this timeless map of faith, where on this path do you find yourself today?